G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Bonsai Works. I'm David. Now it's time, it's getting nice and warm here in Melbourne in summer. It's early summer, December, before Christmas. Now this is the time we decandle our black pines, but in this case, this is a Radiata Pine, or in the Northern Hemisphere probably known as Monterey Pine. Now, I treat the Radiata Pine exactly the same as I treat my Japanese black pine, which means in summer we decandle the tree. So decandling is cutting the candles off the tree. Now, so there's a process of cutting all the candles off and also needle plucking. Now, needle plucking can be hard and time consuming especially if you're new, but if you're new, as long as you can do the decandling of the tree, that's the most important step. The needle plucking is more to balance out the whole tree. So needle plucking is about getting the same amount of needles, after you've done all the decandling, making sure the same amount of needles, let's say 8 to 10 pairs, something like that, 8 to 10 pairs of needles, so they always come out in two, the little needles come out in two from one little spot. So 8 to 10 pairs usually you can leave on the tree, or whatever the weakest significant branch. So this is probably my weakest. The lower ones are the weakest ones, I guess. So they will determine how many needles I leave on the top. But that's what I mean. It's a little bit complex. But if you can get the candle cutting down, that's the most important thing. I know I'm a bit far away from the camera because the tree's so big. But you can see the size of it. It's quite substantial. But I will try and come in and show you a bit of a close-up of what I mean by decandling and cutting the new candles off. So this tree is starting to really fill out, and the reason it's filling out is because I go through the decandling process. So I'll cut all the candles off. Every year I cut all the candles off in December. Then come May, usually May, I get to them, which is autumn. I then bud select the two buds that will stay. So wherever I cut these, I will get multiple buds at that point, at that cut site. And that's what happened last year. So it happens every year for me. So I don't know, other people might not happen for radiatas, but for me, this radiata behaves exactly like that. So I'll get, at that cut point, I'll get multiple buds. And then I select two, usually the two lateral buds, that way. I don't select the top and the bottom, I usually select those two. But we'll talk about that when it comes to it. But pretty much I start decandling at the top of the tree and I'll work my way down. Sometimes I will assess, for example, I know down here is a lot weaker. Usually the lower branches are weaker. Top branches get all the sun, all the energy, but let's balance that out. So I can roughly, in my head, I can roughly see that the needles there, probably think about 8 to 10 pairs no matter what at the top to leave. So I will attempt to at least roughly pluck away the needles as well, just to make sure it's a bit more balanced. So anyway, so really I can just get started. Like you can see how long, I don't know if you can see in the camera, I'll probably just be seeing the top of that tree. Hang on, let me see if I can adjust this slightly. Let's see if this works. Oops. Oh, that's not too bad. Now you can see more the top of the tree. Okay, so you see some of these shoots have really taken off. So really, I'd like to sit above it, but I've got it on the table so I can show you guys. But I pretty much go through it, find the new candle and take it out. Put it in the bin. Find the new candle, take it out. Roughly look, you know what, that's got maybe too many pairs, take them off. I do it by sight. I don't count how many needles there are, I just do it by sight. You can probably tell if there's too many and so on. But I cut every candle I can see. Every candle, no matter how big, small, I cut all of them off and needle pluck at the same time. So by the time I keep doing that, this tree will be thinned out quite extensively. Now I did say I'll bring in and show you some of that's what I mean by this. So let's have a look. Okay, give me incredibly hard to hold the camera with one hand and try and cut. Okay, can you see, let me just try and see this candle? It's quite a large candle. You can see where it started from at the base there. So I come in and go, cut that off. And at that point site you can you see there's needles left? So that's about right. That's about 6 to 8 pairs probably. That's more than enough in that cut spot. So, it's so blurry. Sorry guys, but there you go. See how that is cut off? Let me try another one now because I can show you a bit easier. How about over here? Same thing. Cut, that's the candle, you can see the bare bit. Cut that off. And what you're left with is these needles. Can you see the needles there? So you try to maintain 6 to 8 pairs, 6 to 10 pairs. You know, not too bad. At the top, I'm not as worried, because you can go probably even harder at the top, because you know that's always going to get the strength and the growth. So something like that. So just keep going. You want to work pretty fast too, but this will take me quite a bit of time. This one, see this area here, there's a lot more candles. I mean, a lot more needles. So I need to actually pluck away some of those. So I just pluck them off. I need 2 hands, but you know what I'm getting at. So so that's what I mean by balancing out the needles. You pluck away just so it looks like almost the same as this one. You know, 8 pairs, 6 to 8 pairs, 10 pairs, something like that. So, you know, you roughly do it. I don't go perfectly, otherwise, can you imagine if I have to get every single needle, the same amount of needles on each bit on this massive tree? That's hours of work. And I'm not a nursery owner, I'm just a backyard hobbyist, I guess. And I don't have the time to do that, but I try and invest as much time as I can where I can. So I'll plop the camera down again, and I'll just do probably a time lapse of me cutting all the candles off. I might tweak some of the wire as well, to tweak some of the branches, because I really work on pines twice a year. December, when I decandle them, I wire it if I need to wire it, and then May, when I bud select, I wire it as well. I don't touch pines at any other time pretty much, or black pines, or this radiata at any other time. So I hope that makes sense. It kind of simplifies everything for me. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But let me put the camera back and we'll do a time lapse. Alright, so the decandling process has finished, and I did needle pluck as much as I could. You probably saw me plucking as I was going with my hand. Usually I'm plucking the stuff underneath, going downwards. So by evening out the needles, I mainly pluck the ones that are growing down. So if I had to thin out an area, I pluck the ones going down. So I hope that makes sense. So it's pretty standard process. You're probably thinking, oh, it looked so much better before with all the beautiful, nice green foliage and everything. The reason why it looks so good, and I'm always finding a few other ones that I missed, the reason why it looks so good is that because we did this process. The process of decandling and then in May bud selecting to 2, that whole process makes the tree look that good before. Now it looks pretty sparse and pretty open, which is good. Probably hard to see with the background, but you get the idea. So now what do? I leave this tree alone, just water it as per normal, and put it in full sun. My pines are always in full sun, but they need water, of course. Don't let them dry out too much, or go rock dry. I mean, I don't mind a bit of dryness, but you know what? Just keep watering it. I do not fertilize this tree. I do not fertilize any pines after I do this. I do not fertilize until autumn. So pretty much when I want to bud select, I'm going to do the bud selection. That's when I'll do a fertilize again. But the reason I don't fertilize is I want to get small buds. So if you fertilize now, you're going to get big buds. So if you don't fertilize now, you'll get should get small buds in the multiple spots. Now this tree in spring, I fed it I think 3 or 4 times, from about September to November. So that's the kind of thing. I haven't fed it for about 4 weeks, so all the fertilizer should be out of its system. So what should be produced now is small buds. So that's hopefully another some pointers there. So that's the reason we do it. We do it so we can create small buds, more ramification. So every cut site there had one needle, one candle. in May that will have 2 candles. That's what I'll select down to. So those 2 then next year will produce, will grow, we'll cut them off. Those 2 then become 4. And that's the process. That's how this tree's built up over time. It's really started to build up quite nicely. It's pretty much 3-dimensionally, looking really good. The bark on this tree is amazing. It's really fissured up and really, really old and gnarly up close here. I'll probably bring in the camera just to do close-ups and show you the mess that I've left on the floor with all the pine candles. But anyway, that's the Radiata Pine. I'm going to do my black pines as well, so stay tuned for those videos. That's the exact same process, nothing different. I trim my Radiata Pine, same as my black pines. So there you go. But anyway, happy to answer any questions you have. But I'll give you a quick little, try and do some close-ups of the bark I was talking about, and just a couple other things. Okay, I'll be back. So here's a view of how fissured and flaky that bark is. The big chunks on it. Looks fantastic. So very aged look, really, really beautiful. And the bar is looking really good too. This is actually the back of the tree. In the front of the tree, there's so much foliage I couldn't get a good shot. But this is some of the waste that I've left behind that I need to clean up. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time for more videos.